We live in a time where appearances deceive us more than they reveal. We scroll through images, we listen to words, and we are quick to believe we know someone's essence. But the truth is, true character is rarely visible on the surface. It hides itself in the quiet corners of life, only revealing its face when circumstances demand it. We think we know someone because they smile, because they say the right words, because they show up dressed well, or present themselves with charm. But my friends, charm is a performance, beauty is a costume, and words are rehearsed. True character is something far deeper, something that cannot be performed, cannot be faked, and cannot be maintained for long. It shows up when no one is watching. It shows up when there is nothing to gain, and it shows up in two particular moments, two tests that life gives us all. Give a woman power, and you will see who she really is. Give her pain, and you will see who she truly becomes. These are the two crucibles, the two fires in which her essence is tested: power and pain. And if you pay attention, if you truly watch, these two moments will reveal more about her than a lifetime of conversations ever could. Let's talk about the first one, power. Power is intoxicating. It is seductive. It gives you the ability to influence, to control, to decide. It can be as small as the power over a younger sibling, or as great as the power over a nation. But the measure of a woman's character is not in whether she holds power, it is in what she does with it. I once knew a young woman who was raised in a small town, quiet, reserved, always overlooked. For years, she was the girl no one noticed. But she worked hard, studied harder, and eventually she rose into a position of influence in her career. Suddenly, people began to notice her. People began to listen when she spoke. That's when the real test came. She could have looked down upon those who once ignored her. She could have made them feel small as she once felt. Instead, she remembered what it felt like to be invisible, and she chose to make others feel seen. That, to me, is true character, not in how we treat those above us, but in how we treat those beneath us. It's easy to be respectful to someone who has power over you. It's easy to smile at the boss, easy to admire the celebrity, easy to bow to the king. But how do you treat the waiter at the restaurant, the cleaner in your office, the stranger who cannot benefit you in any way? That is where character hides. Some women, when given power, let it corrupt them. Their voices grow sharp, their hearts grow cold. They forget humility, they forget mercy. But others, the rare few, use power as a lantern. They do not shine it only on themselves. They lift it to light the path for others. I remember once watching a mother in a market. She had a little child with her, tugging at her sleeve, asking for sweets. She was tired, exhausted, carrying bags with both hands. The vendor tried to cheat her, giving less than what was promised. And yet, with her exhaustion, with her responsibilities, she spoke firmly but with dignity. She didn't crush the man with anger, nor did she allow him to take advantage of her. That too is power, not the kind that comes from position or wealth, but the power of inner strength, of integrity, of dignity. You see, power is not always about status. Sometimes it's simply about the moments where you could choose cruelty, but you choose kindness instead. Sometimes it's about the moments where you could choose to remain silent, but you choose truth instead. And then comes the second test, pain. Pain is the great revealer. Pain is the fire that burns away pretenses and exposes the raw soul beneath. You can know someone for years, laugh with them, share meals, share stories, and yet never know their essence until you see how they handle pain. Pain strips away the masks. It shows you whether a woman breaks or bends, whether she grows bitter or grows deeper, whether she lets her wounds define her or refine her. I remember my own mother, a woman of quiet resilience. She knew pain more intimately than comfort. Life had not been gentle with her. She lost things she never spoke of, dreams that were buried quietly in the soil of sacrifice. I would sometimes hear her crying softly at night, not loud enough for the world to hear, but just enough for God to witness. And yet, every morning she rose with grace. She prepared our meals, combed our hair, sent us to school with a smile. Her pain did not turn into poison, instead it turned into strength. That is a mark of character, not the absence of suffering, but the presence of dignity in the midst of it. I have also seen women who let pain harden them. Life hurt them, and so they decided to hurt back. They carried bitterness like armor. They allowed their wounds to dictate their worth. And I do not judge them, because pain is heavy and not everyone survives it with grace. But those who do, those who carry scars not as shame, but as proof of survival, they inspire something in all of us. There is a kind of beauty in a woman who has suffered and still chooses to love. There is a kind of light in a woman who has been betrayed and still chooses to trust in goodness. There is a kind of strength in a woman who has been broken and yet stands tall. You see, when pain enters someone's life, they have two choices. They can either let it reduce them or they can let it refine them. Like gold in a furnace, the fire does not destroy, it purifies. I think of the women I've met who lost everything, homes, families, health, and yet they carried themselves with grace. They taught me that true strength is not loud, it is quiet. It is not about never falling, but about always rising. And so these two tests, power and pain, are like mirrors. They reflect back the truth of who we are. You cannot hide from them. You cannot fake them. They reveal whether your kindness is genuine or conditional, whether your strength is real or an illusion. They show whether your heart is selfish or selfless, whether your spirit is shallow or profound. And I ask you now to look around at the women in your life, your mothers, your sisters, your friends, your colleagues. Look not only at their smiles or their successes, but at their scars and their sacrifices. Celebrate not only the crowns they wear, but the battles they fought to deserve them. Too often, we admire women for their beauty, for their fashion, for their achievements, but true admiration should come from witnessing the moments they could have broken but didn't. The moments they could have given up but chose not to. The moments they could have used power to crush but instead used it to heal. I once met a teacher who worked in a rural school. She was offered a chance to leave to go to a city where her pay would be better, her life easier, but she stayed. She stayed for the children who had no one else. She stayed for the little girls who looked up at her and saw hope. That was her power, her choice to remain when she could have left. That was her pain, too, sacrificing her own comfort for the sake of others. And in that sacrifice, in that silent endurance, her true character was revealed. And then I think of the countless women who endure quietly, whose stories are never told. The women who wake before dawn to prepare meals for their families, the women who work 2 jobs to put their children through school, the women who nurse their sick loved ones while their own bodies ache with exhaustion. These women pass both tests every single day. They hold the power to complain, but instead they choose gratitude. They hold the pain of sacrifice, but instead they choose resilience. And yet, the world rarely applauds them. So, my friends, when you meet a woman, do not be fooled by the surface. Wait, watch, observe, see how she treats those she has power over. See how she endures the storms that life throws at her. That is where her essence lives. That is where her story is written. And if you are wise, you will not only see her character, you will be inspired to strengthen your own. Because at the end of the day, these 2 tests are not only for her, they are for all of us. Power and pain come to every human being. They will come to you, to me, to every soul that walks this earth. And when they come, we too will be revealed. So let us learn from her. Let us learn from the women who carry their power with humility and their pain with grace. Let us learn from their resilience, from their dignity, from their unshakable faith. For in learning from them, perhaps we too can pass the tests of life, not perfectly, not flawlessly, but with sincerity, with courage, and with a heart that refuses to be corrupted or defeated. And when the storms come, and they will come, may we, like her, rise. So when we speak of character, let us not confuse it with charm or beauty or even success. Let us remember that it is only in the fire of power and in the furnace of pain that the truth is revealed. A woman's essence is not in how she shines when the world applauds her, but in how she stands when the world abandons her. It is not in the softness of her smile alone, but in the strength behind her silence. And so, my friends, the next time you meet her, do not be quick to judge by what you see on the surface. Watch how she carries others when she is the strongest. Watch how she carries herself when she is at her weakest. That is where her real story is written.